Welcome back to the program. Cards on the table, hand on heart. I have to be upfront and admit that this story is personal. You see, it's the story of my birthplace, Scotland, and the historic decision it must make in September. Scots will vote on whether to remain part of Great Britain or to go it alone, to finally be free from the Sassenachs, the English who've lorded over them for centuries. Now, I'm sure there are many whose knowledge of Scottish history extends only as far as Mel Gibson in the movie Braveheart. But for me, the argument over Scottish independence has been lifelong, and one that has my own family divided. After centuries of violent struggle, the relationship has come down to this. Scotland the brave now wants to be Scotland the free. Free from English Westminster rule.
Declare yourself the King's loyal subject and beg his mercy.
The great Scottish patriot William Wallace was infamously hanged, drawn and quartered by the English 700 years ago, fighting for the same cause. Now, remarkably, after all the bloodshed, that freedom could be achieved by a simple vote. Fiona, it's a simple question on September the 18th. Can you word it for me, please?
Should Scotland be an independent country?
In fact, the castle is in your hands.
Well, I'm responsible for Historic Scotland.
Fiona Hislop is the Scottish Minister for Culture and External Affairs, and stoutly pro-independence.
And that wonderful motto of Scotland, Nemo me impune lacessit, which means?
In Scots, it's whar dar meddle with me, and nobody mess with me with impunity, and don't think you can have a go at me without retaliation. So don't mess with me.
That's a threat.
Well, I think it's a challenge.
That's a promise.
I think it's a challenge. I think it reflects the spirit of Scotland in that we will stand up on our own 2 feet.
And Scotland standing on its own 2 feet is what the Yes camp is urging, so Scots can take charge of their political and economic destiny. While the No case argues that the 300-year-old union with Britain is an enduring success story and warn independence will send the country broke without British finance. It's a debate I've been versed in all my life. That's me at 3 years of age, shortly before I left Scotland for Australia with my dad Charlie and my mum Ella. Mum might have left Scotland, but as you can hear, Scotland never left her.
Our country is sold for English gold, for a parcel of rogues and a nation. And you know who said that?
Robert Burns.
Yes.
Like so many Scots, we left home for the promise of a better life. But saying goodbye to the Isle of Arran almost broke my mother's heart.
Oh, it was very, very sad.
And your relatives got up on top of the hill there, didn't they?
Yes, the McKelveys were out with a big sheet waving it, and it looked the size of a pocket handkerchief, and it was really very sad. I said to Charlie, I feel like jumping overboard and swimming ashore.
More than 60 years ago, that was the last view my parents had of their beloved Isle of Arran. Now, in this great year of Scottish decision, I'm coming back to find out what the locals think. Does Scotland have a future in its own right? Can it go it alone? On the west coast of Scotland, this beautiful island is a wonderfully romantic place and over thousands of years a hotly contested piece of real estate. Castles that once warded off Vikings later defended against the most relentless foe of all, the English. Today the main town is Brodick. And there in its centre is the bakery bearing my family name.
So this is Woolies' most famous product.
It is, yes. This is the traditional Woolies Iron Oat Cake.
Not mucked around with, not trendied up.
No, just basic ingredients.
Matt Keir now owns the business with his dad Lindsay, who is a battered baker after a recent fall.
A little slip and a little trip, and my face is looking like this.
So not a run-in with a yes voter.
Not a run-in with a yes voter, although I'd love to say it was. But no.
Lindsay is firmly in the no camp.
What about from the heart?
Oh, that's different. Yes,
That's different?
Yes, so different. The heart
The heart
should not
says
rule
yes.
the head, but the heart, of course, the heart says yes.
Really?
Yeah, but not common sense. Not
But the
just
head says no.
Head says no. Yes.
I like the heart better than the head.
Well, I like the head better than the heart. I'm worried about my pensions.
Welcome, everyone.
Meanwhile, across town at the Arran Sports Hall, rebellion ferments. The Arran Women for Independence hold a meeting, convened by Penny Brass and Anne Bruce.
Here we have the chance of a lifetime, the chance of several lifetimes to get something that people all around the world have had to go to battle for.
What about the fear that Scotland will go down the drain without the English to buoy them up?
Well, I think that the Scottish Parliament in the last 15 years has shown how Scots people can make a really good job of running their own affairs. If you look at other countries that have gained independence, 142 countries gained independence since the Second World War. None of them have wanted to go back.
If you've got anything of the Scot in you, you can't help but respond to the beauty of a Highland glen. And I must say that standing here, I have a strange, almost an uncanny feeling of belonging. And then when I put on the kilt and my family tartan is the McGregor, well, then you have to excuse an old reporter if he shows just a wee bit of bias when he cries, "Freedom!"
There was a time when Scotland's English ruler, King George II, banned the wearing of the kilt. The first offence earned 6 months' prison. The second, transportation to the colonies as a convict. No wonder Scots are still stubbornly romantic about the tartan.
Ah, Charles.
Hello, cousin. The people you meet when you're out rambling in the Highlands.
Ian Small is my first cousin, a passionate Scotsman and a proud kilt wearer.
And it's nice to see you with the tartan on, Charles.
I'm wearing the modern McGregor.
Yep.
And you're wearing your tartan,
Yep.
which is...
The ancient Murray of Atholl.
And that's my mother's tartan.
That's your mother's tartan.
Ian not only looks splendid in a kilt, but he's a man of many talents.
Your first attempt at a caber. How do you think?
I think, what the hell does it weigh?
About 65 kilos. It's nothing to a man of your standing. Come on, Jim.
I'm feeling a little
Let's show him how to do it. I'll give you a hand.
Ian is Arran's caber tossing champion.
Just before we go any further, what is the point of this?
It's because we're real men in Scotland.
Right, okay.
We are called men. And we don't wear anything underneath the kilt.
Freedom!
Right, away you go, Charles.
I'm off.
I would hate for it to land on top of you. So we go down, pick up.
then we run. And then, hey, toss.
Sadly today, Ian failed to flip the caber. Yet surprisingly to me, he feels a yes vote would totally upend his beloved Scotland. I'm shocked to learn he's voting no.
You're a legend on the island. How is it that you are not voting for freedom?
Because I just don't think it'll ever work.
Isn't it worth a try?
No. I think the risk's too high.
But it's a romantic idea, isn't it?
People are going to get carried away with the romance. I mean, we're not going to have a navy, we're not going to have an army, we're not income tax system. I mean, it's just endless the things that can go wrong, and where are we going to find the money for it? Just, it's not going to work. I don't think, personally.
Well, what are you going to say to your auntie, Ella Woolley, if this is lost by one vote and it's your vote?
I think I could live with that. Quite easily live with it.
Do you think?
I would apologise to her.
Leaving Arran, I can understand the arguments of those who fear the uncertainties of independence. But I suspect my mind was made up years ago by my fiercely patriotic mother, who at 97, and surely nearing the end of her long exile, says she only lives now in the hope that Scotland will finally achieve its freedom.
But there's one thing that you're living for.
Yes,
What is it?
September.
September.
I'm waiting for Scotland to disunite the United Kingdom.
Freedom.
Freedom.
It's let the genie out of the bottle, and yes or no, in September, Scotland is never going to be the same place again.
Are all Scottish women as feisty?
Well, quite a few.
My mother is.
To see more on that story and others, download the 60 Minutes app for iPhone or iPad.